Let's bring in Mark Feinsand of MLB.com. Mark, first of all, I've got a lot of questions for you. First of all, your thoughts, this deal, the Dodgers, and then we'll do some speculating about the bridesmaids in the process as well. Good morning.
Good morning. Good, nice to be back with you guys. It's interesting what you guys are talking about with the big winner of the offseason doesn't always translate. But the big winner of the offseason is usually a team that had a disappointing year before, not one that had 100+ wins. And yeah, there was a disappointment in the postseason, but this team was already built to go back and contend again. And now they've added 3 megastars in Glasnow and Ohtani and Yamamoto. So, I think the Dodgers have certainly let it be known that they have no plans of a first-round exit this year. This is World Series or bust. And you really have to look at the Ohtani contract and the way that it was set up with all the deferred money. He did that so they could go out and sign other players. Well, they certainly did that. They went out and spent more money on a pure pitcher than anybody's ever spent before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to actually give credit to our friend and colleague, Harold Reynolds, who is in absentia today. He was the guy that I first heard this from. Don't be surprised if they get both. I mean, I didn't think it was possible after the Ohtani money. Harold, noted insider, Harold Reynolds.
If I was a writer, I'd be dangerous.
Right, got that. Harold was kind of on this thing. So let's expand the conversation then, Mark. I mean, the historic nature of this contract is what it is. There's shock value, there's awe, there's all the great things that we look forward to as fans. If you're a fan of the Mets or the Yankees, do you tip your cap and you say he went to a higher bid, he went to a place geographically he preferred, or are you shaking your fist at the TV this morning?
Well, that's not how Mets and Yankees fans work, so I don't think there's going to be any cap tipping to go along here. The Mets offered him the same contract. As a matter of fact, the Mets offered the contract first, and then the Dodgers matched it. So unless Steve Cohen had come back and said, okay, let's make it 350 or 375 or 15 years, or, unless he had just gone above and beyond, it was clear that if the offers were even, the Dodgers were going to win out on this, obviously. The Yankees offered $300 million over 10 years, so actually a higher AAV. But again, more money in LA as a total. And I think the allure of playing with Ohtani and going to the Dodgers and this star-studded team. I mean, when the Dodgers met with him, they brought in Ohtani, they brought in Mookie Betts, they brought in Freddie Freeman. They said, look at this team you can come play with. The Yankees had a similar type of star-studded team. They said, hey, we've got Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and you can pitch in a rotation with Garrett Cole. The Mets, I think, are a little bit different. When they made their trades last year with Verlander and Scherzer, it was sort of like, all right, we're going to take a step back and maybe look towards 2025. This was the one guy they were willing to say, we're all in for him because he's 25 years old. But I think in the end, he wanted to be a Dodger, much like Ohtani did. And I think when Harold said that there was a chance that they could get both, I never thought that was realistic until I saw the deferred money in Ohtani's contract. And once you saw the way that was structured and that they were really only paying $46 million on the CBT every year, not 70, and they were only outlaying $2 million a year to Ohtani, not 70. All of a sudden it was, wow, they really have a lot of money left to get somebody. And then you saw and you heard they were going to make this full court press. And there you see the teammates on Team Japan clearly with an affinity for each other. And now they're going to be teammates for many years to come here in LA.
So I had a hunch.
Just a hunch?
Yeah, just a hunch, Keith. By the way, Keith, where have you been for the last month? Keith Costas, that is. I had a hunch that when we learned that the Yankees contingent met with Yamamoto in L.A., that it felt weird. That not only was the brand itself appealing to him, the Dodgers franchise, I think geographically Los Angeles has an advantage. They just do. Closer to home. There's this history, this precedent with Nomo being there for so long and having success, not to mention having Ohtani there. So I think the deck was stacked against the Mets and Yankees all along, especially as you're confirming with us this morning, Mark. If they offered commensurate money or the same deal, I wonder if Steve Cohen didn't feel like, look, we could up this to 15 years, the Dodgers would just match it, and then I'm a straw man. So I could try to cost the Dodgers more money, but what's the point? Because he wants to be in L.A. That was my take when I read the reporting this morning.
Well, I think when you look at the fact that they were meeting with people out in L.A., it had as much to do with the fact that his agent's based out there, and they sort of set up a camp, and they weren't going to go on a countrywide tour of ballparks where he's flying all around the country. He was in New York. He did come to New York. He had dinner at Steve Cohen's house. He met with the Yankees in New York. But I think it was more, okay, we're here. You can all come to us and meet with us and make your pitch. But look, I think we've talked a lot about Japanese players preferring to play on the West Coast because it's 6 hours closer to home. But at the same time, we've also seen two mega stars from Japan come to New York in Hideki Matsui and Masahiro Tanaka and thrive with the Yankees. Matsui was the MVP of the World Series with them.
Good point.
I didn't think there was a sort of stacked deck necessarily. If anything stacked the deck to me, it was the minute Ohtani signed with the Dodgers, because then it was, okay, not only are we going to pay you a boatload of money, not only do we have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Walker Buehler and all these other stars, we've got Shohei Ohtani. And for a 25-year-old kid coming over here from Japan, that means something. And I think that may have been as big of a factor at the end of the day as anything else.
By the way, is that a can of Tab on your shelf behind you? Is that what I'm seeing?
It's actually a special edition Tab Matchbox car. But yes, good eye, Matty B. One of my favorite sodas of all time. Rest in peace.
I know nothing about Tab.
I mean,
is that a cola?
No, that's okay.
Is that like?
Yeah. No, it's okay that way. You're a healthier guy for it. Mark and I remember Tab fondly, though. Mark, thanks for the contributions. We'll be back with you again perhaps a little bit later this morning on a huge news day in baseball.